I don't get it, he exclaimed. His pointed ears flushed a reddish hue.
What is it you don't understand?
Asked old Eldriel, sighing wearily at the endless interruptions of the student who, without fail, came to his farm every single day. The young one, his pointed ears twitching, hesitated, choosing his words carefully so as not to offend the old man.
Please, don't take it the wrong way, but, well, I just don't understand why we place so much importance on humans. As far as I know, they drove us from their territory.
The old man sighed again, set his gardening gloves aside, and beckoned the student toward his modest hut. Perhaps he was the last surviving Eldriel who had lived through the galaxy's golden age. He wiped his hands quickly before setting a kettle of water on the stove, a human invention still in use after all these years. Eldriel sat at the table and motioned for the young one to sit across from him. A long conversation was ahead, and it was best to have it in comfort. But first, there was a question he needed to ask, to know where to begin.
Tell me, how much do you know about humans?
Well, everything I've found in the Hall of Knowledge. They're like us, though without pointed ears, and quite beautiful. Although, they say, to them we are the beautiful ones. I also know we were compared to the elves, the most technologically advanced race in the galaxy, and that we were once part of their civilization.
The old man let out a deep grunt at that explanation.
Which means I'll have to start from the very beginning. You think after all the time we lived alongside them there'd be more information preserved. Disappointing. Very well. Make yourself comfortable. This is going to take a while. It was about 26,000 Earth years ago, or 260 cycles in our reckoning. The galaxy was in a state of constant war. The Eldriel fought against the Sex, and the great galactic corporations controlled the markets with their private armies. Now, what I'm about to tell you is what I remember from the history classes I took, back when the Federation still existed, so some details might be a little hazy. When the Fourth Galactic War over territorial rights broke out, the Ambarak dispatched a shipment of Filskrat, the fuel we use to power our hyperdrive engines. It was a small cargo vessel, but enough to supply a handful of ships chasing a Iskrat expeditionary fleet. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on whom you ask, the little ship malfunctioned halfway through its jump, ending up in an isolated sector of the galaxy, in what we now know as the Orion Arm.
Wait a moment. So it was the Ambarak who found the humans? I always thought they discovered us.
The old man shot a sharp glare at the young Eldriel, who fell silent at once.
I'm getting to that. Don't interrupt or I'll throw you out.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Eldriel snorted before continuing his tale.
As I was saying, the ship stalled in the Orion Arm, in humanity's home space, the most remote and uncharted corner of that sector. Back then, no known civilization had ever made a hyperjump that far. Sadly, with that jump, their warp engines were on the verge of collapse, and those old things had a nasty habit of exploding when pushed too hard. That was when a ship, unlike anything ever seen in the known galaxy, appeared before them. A monstrous thing, all sharp edges and squared forms, both intimidating and magnificent. I know because, in my day, I had the chance to see one of those beauties. Well, as I was saying, it was a human battlecruiser. You can imagine the terror those Ambarak felt as that colossal ship locked every one of his weapons on their tiny freighter. The Ambarak tried every known method of communication in their time to contact the newly discovered extraterrestrials, and somehow managed to open a radio channel with the ship. Apparently the onboard AI deciphered their language in a matter of seconds, and that's what saved them from being blasted to pieces.
Sorry to interrupt again, but AI? I have to admit I don't know what that is.
Wait, you seriously don't know what an AI is?
The old man asked, surprised, receiving a shake of the head in response.
I can't believe it. It hasn't even been that long, barely 250 cycles, and it's already been forgotten,
he exclaimed in exasperation, standing as the kettle began to whistle. Once the tea was ready, he poured 2 cups and handed one over.
Thank you.
Well, AI, or artificial intelligence, were human creations. Synthetic beings. Conscious systems capable of learning, adapting, and in some cases making decisions better than humans themselves.
Like a mother brain?
Yes, something like that. But far more advanced and intelligent. And they didn't need a psionic link to the collective mind of their species to share memory space and processing power. Incredibly powerful things. But anyway, we're getting off track. Where was I? Ah, yes. The humans opened communications with the Ambrak freighter. The Ambrak explained their predicament, and the humans guided them towards a refueling station near the 4th planet of the system. A green and blue jewel streaked with orange. It was, apparently, in the process of being terraformed. From what I know, the Ambrak were the first extraterrestrials humans had ever seen in their history. Until then, they were firmly convinced they were alone in the universe. You can imagine what it meant for them to discover another intelligent species. And since humanity had unified under a single government after a genocidal war that nearly wiped them out 100 years before, the discovery was monumental. The humans helped the Ambrak repair their engines and, in exchange, gained knowledge of faster-than-light travel and galactic navigation charts. I know what you're thinking, but no. A human acquaintance of mine from that era, his grandfather, apparently, was one of the scientists who helped repair the ship, told me that when they saw how it worked, some of them hit their foreheads so hard they knocked themselves unconscious.
And why would they do that?
Well, you see, what for us was Filskrat, the most valuable fuel in the galaxy used to power our ships for over an eon, 1,000,000 human years, they knew was fossil fuels. Something they had abandoned 2 centuries earlier, replaced by superior forms of energy. And the way we stored and controlled our star charts? Through analog objects and paper records. We even had entire crews of navigators who calculated routes and trajectories in their heads. The only thing truly interesting to the humans about all our technology, naturally, were the warp engines and our faster-than-light systems, the workings of which they understood and began improving within just 2 Earth weeks. Because of the urgency of their mission, the Ambrak had to leave as soon as their ship was repaired and resupplied, returning, with the help of human scientists, to the civilized parts of the galaxy. Sadly for them, in their haste, they failed to record the exact location of that fledgling civilization, and aside from the warp engine they brought back as proof of its existence, there was no way to return to the solar system. And so it remained for nearly 500 human years, until one day first contact happened. But that is a story for another time.
What? Why?
Old Aldriel looked out the window of his worn hut, gazing at the 2 moons in the dark sky of Avriel Prime.
Because it's night time, boy, and I want to sleep. Come back tomorrow, or better yet, in 2 weeks.